Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time. So today we're digging into the system of covert power and deniable influence. And this really matters, because the things that we as citizens can't verify, well, they still end up shaping political outcomes in a huge way. All right, so let's get right into it. We're going to start by really looking at the nature of these systems, the ones that are specifically built to exert influence without ever being seen. And that brings us to the big question, right? How do systems exercise power in secret? This is what's going to guide us as we peek behind the curtain at the hidden machinery of state power, all thanks to an insider's account. And that insider is Philip Agee. His book, Inside the Company, isn't just some tell-all memoir. Think of it more like a blueprint, an incredibly rare tool for understanding how this whole system works, and it's written by someone who was actually on the inside running the plays. I mean, this guy, Agee, he spent 12 years as a CIA operations officer. He was deep inside fighting what he even called the holy war against communism. But after all that time, something shifted. He walked away completely convinced he'd become, and this is in his own words, one of its secret policemen. And that really gets us to the absolute heart of it, the core logic of this entire system. It's all built on one fundamental principle. Achieve your political goals, but make sure, no matter what, that you have total deniability. So how do they do it? Well, the main tool in the toolbox is something called covert action. Agee believed this was the real reason the CIA was created. It's for that gray area, that space between just lodging a diplomatic protest and, well, outright invasion. Now, the way this is all justified to the public is fascinating. It basically boils down to an appeal for blind trust. As former director Richard Helms put it, "You've just got to trust us. We are honorable men." But what Agee saw on the inside painted a very different picture. He came to believe that these secret ops were actually designed to prop up power structures that were favorable to U.S. interests, even if those same governments were unjust and deeply unpopular with their own people. And this is where you see the engine of the system, how it keeps itself going. It's a cycle. It all starts with deniability. That means nobody can prove who did what. No proof means no attribution. No attribution means no accountability. And with no accountability, well, you can just run the same play over and over again, with no outside checks to stop you. Okay, so that's the logic. But how does it actually work on the ground, day to day? Well, Agee's diary lays out these 3 key patterns that really define the whole operation from the inside. First up, you've got incentives. People have to be motivated to do this work, right? For officers like Agee, it was a powerful cocktail of things. Climbing the career ladder, for sure, but also this really powerful ideological belief that they were the good guys on the front lines of the Cold War. Next, there are constraints. Information is locked down tight. They use strict rules like compartmentalization, which basically means you only know about your tiny piece of the puzzle, not what the person next to you is doing. That, plus the classic need-to-know principle, is all designed for one thing: maximum secrecy and control. And that brings us to the third piece, a really powerful feedback loop. Think about it. According to Agee, the better these covert ops are at keeping a friendly government in power, the less pressure that government feels to actually reform itself. And what happens when there's no reform? You get instability. And what does that instability justify? You guessed it, the need for even more intervention. The system literally creates the conditions to justify itself. So what are we supposed to do with all this? What's the big takeaway? Really, what this book gives us is a new way of seeing, a new mental model for how a system like this operates, almost invisibly, in the world around us. And here's the best way to think about it. It's like a machine operating behind a one-way mirror. We, on the outside, can see all the effects, the political shifts, the strange events, but the machine and the people running it, they stay completely hidden. So this book isn't just a history lesson. It's trying to teach us how to spot the effects of that hidden machine, even today. And this is probably the most important shift in perception. It makes you realize that the lack of direct evidence, the fact that you can't find that smoking gun, that's not proof the system isn't there. It's proof that the system is working exactly as it was designed. Invisibility is a feature, not a bug.
So at the end of the day, the book leaves us with a really powerful question to carry forward. It changes how you look at the news, how you see history unfold, and the question is this: if a system is designed to be invisible, what should we be looking for? This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind Crisis in Perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon. For a longer audio-based analysis of this topic, see the deep dive linked in the description. If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.